So this week I want to talk very briefly about the difference between quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing. So if you haven't already, I'd like you to pause this audio and read the document for this week on that topic. It's only about a page and a quarter. It shouldn't take too long. So go ahead and pause this and go do that. But these three words, quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing, are often used interchangeably, but they're not the same thing. And it's important that we know when to use what and why. So a quote is something that we all know how to do. We do it all the time. We're very familiar with it. This is when we copy word for word exactly what an author has said. Now, we know to do this because it's expected of us in academic writing, right? We see this all the time in things that we read, and all of our professors tell us that we have to do it. So we know that this is important in academic writing, but sometimes we quote when we don't need to. Really, the only occasion that you should choose to quote is when the author is saying something in such a perfect, succinct, amazing way that you could not possibly say it better yourself. When that author has a sentence, a couple of sentences that really just hit home the point that you're trying to make in your paper, that's when you would choose to quote it word for word from the text. Now, paraphrasing is a little bit different. Paraphrasing is when the author is saying something really important, but maybe they're not saying it as quickly or as concisely as we would like. So this is when we're going to choose to say in our own words what the author has chosen to say. Maybe we quote a phrase here or there, but a paraphrase is when we start to take the author's work and we put it into our own words. Yet we are still quoting the author because the idea was not ours. We didn't have the idea until we read the author's work, but we're putting it into our own words. We're not copying them. So we're condensing a little bit of what they said. Then summarizing is different. Summarizing is when you take something big and long and bulky and you're condensing it down to a sentence or two. So this is when when maybe the author is using a lot of jargon or a lot of technical words that we know our readers might not understand. This is when we really want to get the gist of what they're saying very quickly without going into too much detail. So the overall point of what the author is saying is important, but all those details they put in their work are not important to us. For all three of these techniques, quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing, we must cite the author from which the idea came. So I want you guys to think a little bit about when you might use quotations, when you might paraphrase, and when you might summarize. They're all very different, so be sure that you're very purposeful in how and when you use these three techniques available to you.